Trustee Ludtke.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we have public comments. For anybody that would want to speak at public comments can step towards the podium. Okay, since there are no public comments, we have our first item, which is a consideration of the village board minutes of the May 9th, 2022 meeting.
Also moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for the May 9th meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion is carried. The next item we have is consideration of vouchers for payments in the amount of $104,936.38.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $104,936.38.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the vouchers. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have actions related to licenses and permits. First, we have consideration of operators, bartenders licenses. This is for, it's quite the list, but we'll get to that after. So for approvals, we have a list. I can read the list, or I have it right in front of me. I'm just saying I can read the list, or someone can make it part of their motion, but the list as it is in the packet.
I'll make a motion to approve the bartender operator license as listed below.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the operator bartender licenses for, as the list is shown, recommended for approval by Chief of Police. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. We have a recommendation for a denial. This is for a Shelley Dupraz. This is for operators, bartenders.
I believe this will be the only denial for this meeting. I think the other ones are no longer part of the agenda. They were removed by the submitting person, but for Ms. DePraz, she had an application that did not disclose a recent OWI arrest that was on April 2nd, 2022. Her application was dated May 2nd. This would be a third offense OWI if she is convicted. The conviction is, there is a plea and sentencing hearing, which tells me that she's pleading out to this charge, scheduled for May 27th, but I don't know the outcome of that till that hearing would actually take place. But as it would indicate, it looks like she's going for a plea and sentencing, so there should be a third offense conviction. So we have a couple things. One, she failed to notify of the information that she was definitely aware of. Two, the board has a policy on the application that any alcohol-related offense within 12 months, that they would not approve that person. And then three, under the state statute, it states no license or permit related to alcohol beverages may be issued under this chapter to any person who has habitually been a law offender or has been convicted of a felony unless duly pardoned. And if the third offense, this recent, I think this could be considered habitually a law offender under an alcohol-related offense. So my recommendation after reviewing the background would be for denial.
I'd make a motion that we deny the bartender's license for Shelley Dupraz.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to deny the bartender's operator's license for Shelley Dupraz. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. That request is denied for bartender's operator's license. Now we have a temporary Class B beer permit. This is for Lake Country Optimist Club. They will sell beer in Nixon Park on June 25th,
Move that
2022.
we approve the permit.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a temporary Class B beer permit. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item that we have on our agenda is consideration of first reading for a bill for an ordinance number 523, 2022-1, I apologize for that. An ordinance to amend Division 2 and 6 of Article 3 of the Village of Hartland Municipal Code pertaining to the position of Administrator and Finance Director Treasurer.
So this is just the language from Village Attorney Hector De La Mora on how to make that position possible. If we go forward with it, this would be the first reading, and then I have a second and third meeting in June for this.
All right, so that's the first reading. If anybody has anything that they want to say? No? Okay, so that's our first reading for that. That's 523, 2022-1. Then we also have a first reading, consideration of first reading of bill for an ordinance number 523, 2022-2, an ordinance creating 22-168 through 22-173 of the Village of Hartland Code of Ordinances regulating mobile food vendors.
Again, so this is the first reading for our mobile food vendors. We had a review and discussion on it last time, and just kind of said reach out to me with any changes that people wanted to make. I did not receive any changes, but I've heard there are obviously some items that people want to make sure are in there. I'll let you guys discuss, but did have some ideas or thoughts based on what I heard from people.
I saw one minor thing, actually. The signage that is in the reading, it shows 24 feet by 36 feet, where I think that was intended to be 24 inches by 36 inches for a chalkboard.
One big sign.
Be a very big sign.
Most of them are about that big. If you go on the side of the truck, they are about a 2 foot by 3 foot signboard, so they can have their whole menu.
Yeah, so the language was reading feet rather than inches, so I think all we gotta do is adjust that so that it's,
3, that's what we're saying. Because that feet would be a,
Yep, we've got it noted.
Why just one sign? I mean, if somebody's coming in to have their products available, I mean, maybe to limit them, you can only show half your stuff? Or do they have to write real small, or?
We can honestly do more. This is just something most food trucks just have one on the side, or they have almost like a sandwich board sitting out there with the menu. I wouldn't allow like 10, you know.
No.
But if you guys wanted to make it 2, I would have no problem setting up to 2, up to 3.
2 seems reasonable.
I think 2.
Ryan, has there been any dialogue about annual fees?
Yeah, so some of the things I heard from people in discussion were food trucks not to be allowed to do business on village streets or in parks unless approved by the village board. Food trucks allowed at commercial or industrial properties for an annual fee and part of a plan of operations. Food trucks in residential areas allowed as a one-time special event with approval by village board and a $75 fee. Allowed in parks or special events with a $75 fee and village board approval. And all food trucks must have their state or county licensing. So I think the thought behind some of that is not allowing them to do business on the village streets. They could go to commercial, industrial properties and be part of a plan of operations and pay an annual fee. Allow them in residential areas. Like I said, a lot of neighborhood block parties have them. So they would just have to come to the village board for that approval, just like we do currently. Same thing with being them being allowed in parks or special events, just be with village board approval. But I want to make sure that it's hard because like our attorney said, they want this to have all the details and definitions in there. I just want to make sure this is reading how the board wants it to read before we send it to them and have it approved. Again, if we do approve this and President and I had this conversation today, if there's something that needs changing down the road, we always can come back and amend the ordinance.
Here we've got a medical plan for some diseases never happened. You know, we're coming up with all these ideas that other problems that we've had. Like, I don't understand if my neighborhood wants to have a party, why I have to pay a fee to the village because they're not invited to the party to pull a food truck into my yard. I don't understand why. I don't know what.
For that, I think we were talking about if they're using the street versus going on a residential property.
But if they're using, I thought they weren't going to be allowed on village streets.
Per this, it would be if allowed by the village board for a special event. Same as if Party in the Park went back to becoming the street dance, they would have to come forward and essentially do a special event to allow them on the streets for that day.
Okay.
We're personal property, business property. That's what people are trying to say they would be allowed with like an annual fee. If you wanted to have one at your house, in your driveway, this would let you.
For $75?
Private property, as long as you're not selling, but we'd have to have that in the policy.
So if I want to have one on my business,
That would be,
I have to pay an annual fee for one,
you could
let's
do
say
it.
3 or 4 hours of having somebody in front of my business?
I'm sure we could set it up so that it says it's a one-time fee. I
So
think,
I can only have it one time a year?
do you want it for the whole year or one time?
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If here I'm paying an annual fee of $75 and I can have it one time, I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Well, we were
you know-
talking about a fee of like around $150 for an annual fee, 75 one time.
So we're doing that for food. And if somebody else wants to run a promotion for any other product outside of food, they don't have to pay $75 they can run whatever promotion they want. So a business cannot promote food as their business.
We do it with liquor licenses, correct? People have annual liquor licenses, we have gaming licenses.
Signage.
The whole thought of this is where you're creating a license in order to sell food from a mobile food vendor.
I guess I don't understand why, if the board has always gone out of their way to help businesses, why we would try to say, hey, you can have it, but you can have an annual fee of $75, but you can have it one time, and you can only be there for 8 hours within a 24-hour period. I mean, it's like, why are we putting all these restrictions on something that is supposed to be something to help our businesses grow, or having the neighborhoods get together and, you know, do this thing? I don't think we should change the park. We already got the parks. The parks are set up, and that's been set up by the park and board. Why we're even messing with that one, I don't even know. Why we're even talking about that's set and dry. But now we're talking about we don't want anything on our streets, which is, I could agree. But if a business wants to have something, I don't know why we want to limit that. I mean, if a drugstore wants to have something and they don't have a parking lot in the front of their store, but they're going to park on the street, yeah, that could be a problem. I don't know what we're going to do with that. But if they park it in the back and they run a promotion, why are we going to charge them? I guess, I don't know. And even if a neighborhood block party, I mean, we don't charge them for the barricades.
Just to jump in here, Mike, you can make a motion to have something struck from this. That's what the 3 readings are for, though.
I'm throwing out some questions, because
Right.
as I went through this,
I think staff was trying to come up an accumulation of hearing 7 different voices and getting something on paper, and now it's up to us to say, hey, we don't want that in there, we want this switched, all of that, hence the whole 3 readings, and by the time you get to the end of it, you've arrived at your destination. There's, 41 ways to get to Milwaukee. If you wanted to try it, you'd probably 190 ways to get to Milwaukee, or to Madison, or anywhere else. A lot of different roads you can take. There's not only one way. So we know where we're trying to get to, and what roads are we gonna take. That's kind of what we're gonna do here with these 3 readings. you know, just so that everybody's aware. We could make 5 motions changing certain things, certain lines.
I would say too, I don't necessarily, I don't disagree with Trustee Meyer's thoughts and his compassion for the current business community that are looking, I believe your words were, to grow. And I appreciate that. I think it's also a safeguard for the food trucks that are coming in. So those are operating businesses as well, right? And so they're there to make a profit. And we have restaurants that are here in the community that are also here to make a profit. So one would say that a business that is in the village of Hartland that would want to grow could partner with one of our local restaurants to figure out a way to offer up a service to their employees or customers of some sort. I think what this is doing is safeguarding other businesses that are looking to come in. It's safeguarding us. Other businesses looking to come into the community, use our community, the same way that if you were to buy a building and put a bricks and mortar restaurant in. So really, the goal is not to stop a business here in Hartland that's already growing, looking to offer some incentives. It's to put some rules and regulations around other food truck businesses that are looking to come in and utilize our grounds. I think is really what the goal intended to be. And to President Vanderstel, I would agree, that's 7 voices trying to come together to put something around that. So, I yield.
Another thing, couple of things here. Investigation fee. If the people have to have license from the county, and they have to have approval from the health department, and our police department is going to make sure that they're safe, and the fire department's going to, they're safe, and then is that the investigation fee that we're charging them?
Again, I'm, with kind of the new stuff I threw out, I think there was some talk about not doing the background checks. I don't know if other communities do or don't do them. Do most of them do a background check?
My understanding is the ordinance you see in front of you is very similar to what most agencies, very closely what other municipalities have in place. So this document was put together through our village attorney, saying this is what we feel is the bare minimum that you got to put forward to have some type of teeth to the ordinance. The background check is something we do very similar to like a solicitor. So we have a transient person coming through. We don't know who they are. They work for a company, but they can have whatever type of staff. So even though the company is approved because they passed their county or state inspections, what employee are you getting? We just recently went through a sex offender appeal hearing that coincides with residency, but that could also be the guy serving out of a food truck to your children in the park. So that's where I think a lot of communities try to safeguard who's actually the one doing the business through a background fee. Here it talks about business and moral character. To me, that's just talking about if it comes to the knowledge of the village board that there's been unethical business practices, that can be taken into consideration. And then also that we just do the State Department of Justice background check. And for our costs of doing that, it's a $7 check per person, and it checks state records only, Wisconsin state records only. And I think as part of the ordinance, I know it gets, there's a lot of different directions, like the village president talked about on how this works, but it is almost that solicitor type permit, but for a food truck type business. And maybe that's even something we try to wrap into that area of the ordinance, but it would be something similar. I know Trustee Myers was asking questions to businesses being able to go out and promote their products, but I think a good example would be a battery business parking in front of the Wisconsin Athletic Club selling batteries out of their truck on the side of the road. That would fall under some of our ordinances that we would not allow that to happen. I think that's where the food truck ordinance kind of comes into play, and that's kind of the correlation of what we're trying to do. I don't want to sit here and say that we've had public safety issues, but I know we also haven't had a lot of volume either in the communities that have had a lot of the volume have ended up going into some type of ordinance to then just keep it so it's a safe environment for the community, and it's also something that can work for the business community here in Hartland or their respective communities.
I would agree. I think that we want to know who's coming to Hartland to run this food truck? Who are the people that are working in the food truck? That's important for safety of our community. There's costs to filing a permit. I looked at City of Oconomowoc, for an example. I read they've got a $450 annual fee, and I wasn't quite understanding a couple things. They have a $500 fee for $31 or less, or 31 days, excuse me, or less. If it's over 31 days, it's $1,000 annually. You know, so there's an example of how they do it. Cedarburg has one that's a lower cost annual fee, but they restrict you to 12 visits or 15 visits, something like that, in their community. So, you know, it's something to chew on. You know, where do we come in for an annual fee if somebody wants to be selling food from Memorial Day to Labor Day, or later than that in October?
Some of our neighbor communities is because of the seasonal activity that they see in their municipalities, so that's a great point.
Just something to think about.
But my thought is that what businessman is going to want something that's going to make them look bad in the place? Wouldn't they do a little bit? I mean, I wouldn't want somebody in front of my building, like Walgreens, the building selling batteries, even though I can't stop them. The idea is the businesses are responsible for that food truck. It's not like they're coming in into our village and just parking where they want to. It's they're going to that particular establishment or that neighborhood, and that's where it's going. And isn't that some responsibility of the people that are there? You know, I would think that they would want to make that responsibility. And then I was looking here too, and it's also that one of the, section D on that is that all vehicles must pass an inspection by the Hartland Fire Department. And a copy of that report has to be submitted with the application. But back here, they said earlier, we're talking about they have to be approved by the fire department and the police department, and now they got to have a special permit too?
Chief Chambers, when I spoke to him, was talking about when they go to make sure that the gas lines associated with the generators that run it are functioning, because you could have a situation where you have people at a large event and something happen. Again, this is what most municipalities do. They have the fire department check out to make sure that that is a safe piece of equipment. Again, we don't have to do any of this, but
I just have some questions. I just don't want to put any more restrictions on anybody that wants to make some, you know, try to bring some customers in, because we're not going to be on the street, they're going to be by a business. And
so that, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
And if that business is screwing up, then that business has got a problem.
So
I mean, how'd you like the paper to say that they did such and such in front of so-and-so's business while he was running a promotion? It's like, oh, man, I don't know if I'd want that.
So I think the hard part for me is this is essentially soliciting business that is not your business. It's not, I understand you may do it to grow, but this is food. So while it may not affect your business, it could affect our local businesses like Enters, Palmer's, Zesty, Beer Snobs, the Phoenix. It can affect their business. If people came in and started selling other products that weren't food related to bring people in that affected someone else's business, they may feel the same. So we have to have, you know, they're putting in, our local businesses are putting in the cost of having this. So technically, the industrial park, if we just kind of let it as is, I could have somebody at my industrial park business 365 days a year running a kitchen.
I have a question to tack on to what Mike said, if you were done with your sentence.
Yep.
So if this is for food that we're kind of zooming in on here, and I know this isn't mobile, but how do all of the brat stands that are selling food or hamburgers or cheeseburgers or whatever they're selling at our local grocery stores, how does that fit in? They don't pay a fee. That doesn't come to our board, does it?
It doesn't profit them. It is for nonprofit. It is part of their business plan of operations. And that's what we were stating. I mean, we don't have to charge a fee. You can just say if people want to make it a part of your operations. That's what happened in Oconomowoc. And they had places that had 3 or 4 or 5 food trucks, and now they have $1,000 fees because they had such an issue with food trucks.
And just to back up, food trucks, when they put business plans together, and I do have experience with reading those business plans, they account for the fact that they're going to be paying fees in different municipalities due to different circumstances. So that's part of their business plan, understanding that they are, and that they need several different licensors to travel throughout, whether it's the county, the region, or the state, or thus far. President, I had a question back to the very first question about signage when we were looking at the size. Somebody, I think it was Trustee Myers, had arose a good question of how many, like why just one sign? And then the answer was we can look at that. Are we making a decision that we're saying okay to more than one sign? And so two, and then if it's two signs, do we need to put in there where they should be located? Because I don't know, like what if there's a sign that's like right outside of their food truck and then all of a sudden it ends up on the other side of the street in front of a business with a big arrow that says food truck and it happens to be in front of a restaurant?
Should we just say it located within like 2 or 3 feet of the?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Are you guys fine with that? 2 feet? I mean,
Just to, if we're gonna, start to nitpick in every little thing, I'm like, that could come down the line.
That's a good point. I think something within 3-4 feet of the food truck.
I'll put 3. Now this is nitpicky as well, up to item 6 above. We talked about this a while ago. Electrical connections with extension cords to adjacent property shall be done in a safe manner at the discretion of the village building inspector. I'm also adding, they must have permission from the property owners if electrical connections are needed.
For sure.
I remember you guys brought that up, so we're
sure.
gonna make sure they have
Yeah.
approval of running that cord.
I have a couple things that I wanted to throw in. I think that, the village has spoken and people want or seem to have a desire for food trucks. And I think that we've got the special events under control when it comes to the parks or even in the street. And I think that this clears that for our different events that we have. I think we're there. So we know we have that set. I think we're there. Whether it's an arcade that has to get a license for a pinball machine, or whether it's a bar that has to get a permit annually for a dartboard, or whether it's a restaurant that has to have a health inspection every year and follow certain guidelines, even above the municipality, but up at the state level, or the county level, I should say. I don't think it's out of bounds to have a permit, if we're doing it on private property, because it makes the village aware, just like every single dartboard in the entire village. Very quickly, the village can tell you where they're all at. Every single pool table, very quickly, as long as they're doing it legally, the village could tell you where they're at. I guess the reason I'm saying that is I don't think that it's out of line to ask for a permit. And Trustee Myers, to your point, I do agree. Maybe we lower that one-time fee. I don't think the annual fee is out of bounds. If someone's going to make it part of their operating plan, maybe if someone's only going to do it, so they'll have the choice. Maybe it's $25, so they'll have the choice of, pay $150. Otherwise, it's $25, bucks per time. So you could have. Maybe we can. Work with that to ease it a little bit, because some permits are pretty, even a temporary bartender's license, for a nonprofit, it's $15 just for them to come and do that. So I don't think it's out of line to have a permit. I think somehow our wording, when it does come to fire, I think it's got to be open that building inspector or our fire department can go in and inspect, and has to be allowed to inspect on demand, which actually I believe legally we have the right to do, I believe. But I think that's the right thing to do, instead of saying, hold on, you can't serve, wait. You know what I mean? We just want the door open that, police, fire, our building inspector, they can go in and they can take a look at any given time, just like Department of Health can, automatically already. So instead of having to get checked, do you see where I'm loosening it, or I'm suggesting that we loosen it up a little bit, because if all of a sudden we see something that's unsafe anywhere, you know what I mean? We could call it out and say, hey, something's not right there. That's why you can't just open a gun range anywhere in Hartland that you want, because it might not be safe if people are popping off. So You know, I mean, there's restrictions for a reason. But I think I've gotten my point across. I think maybe we, you know, loosen up whether they have to get this looked at first, or whether we can just look at it at any given time and that they have to allow us in, kind of like a nonprofit. I think if anybody calls for an audit, they gotta be able to, you know, they gotta be able to show their stuff, or any business if they get audited. But also, I think that, maybe we lower that amount for that one-time fee to whatever, I don't know, $25 or something like that, and then have 150 on.
And that wouldn't be part of this, that we have a regular fee schedule for all of our village-wide fees. So in that fee schedule, we would come up, after this is passed, we would come up with whatever everybody wants for a one-time fee, annual fee, however it may be.
I would also just say with the fee, just moving forwards with whatever's decided on that, just remember the administration fee that comes from our village staff as well. So the time and effort, and then now we're talking about just the departments that you said could be on demand. I mean, so I think that has to be considered in the fee assessment. You know, if we were to lower it, our time's worth something too.
Right, yep.
Agreed.
So with that, we've been going on this for a little bit. Thank you, Trustee Ludtke.
Can I just make one
Yeah,
more quick
go
comment?
ahead.
Line 59, this states 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I don't know, 6 a.m. seems aggressive unless you guys are fine with that. Do you guys care about the times? I mean, 6 a.m. just seems so early to be, you gotta remember, when they fire up, it's a generator, it's loud. So we can leave it for now. If people want to change it next meeting, we can.
I'm for changing it to 8 a.m. That's usually when the village is
Yeah, we don't allow
moving.
construction till 7.
Yeah.
So-
I don't think you allow grass cutting till 7, so 8 a.m.
Yeah,
Pretty
That gives the
reasonable.
business, especially if they're utilizing the business's services as well, right? Like if they need electricity or whatever.
Again, if it's in a park, it'll be a special event that comes forward. Yep. So, you know, like sometimes you may have soccer games or things like that where if a food truck comes, they might want to be going at 8 a.m., but 7 a.m., but.
I think what they may have been looking at are some of the manufacturers in the industrial park that maybe have run 3 shifts, thank you. And those people maybe want to have some breakfast or whatever at 6 or 5 in the morning or whatever time.
That's a good point.
So instead of 8, could we at least make it 7?
We can't, yeah, so the other thing,
Or at least make it that earlier in the industrial or manufacturing areas?
and I think we'd like to have language added in here that states, you know, that if you're gonna have a food truck, you would add it to your business plan of operations, because an industrial park could say, can we have one 24 hours? You might say, yeah, in an industrial park, absolutely, you have 3 shifts, you know what I mean? But, you know, in a residence, we wanna limit it to a certain time.
Right, correct.
These all come to us for approval anyhow, so we can edit the times per specific event.
I just want to, the point, I guess the concern I have is I had more people ask me why they can't have food trucks in Hartland than any other thing that I've done in the last 20 years. There's a lot of people in our community that, I'm tired of going to Oconomowoc, I'm tired of going to some other community to try this stuff, I just want something different, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what we can do, but
So the ironic part of that statement, food trucks aren't currently regulated at all in the village, nobody's having them. Anybody could have one anywhere at any time until this is passed.
Right, that's the statements are confusing, because they
Well,
could
I'm
have one at
I'm
any
sorry,
time.
but the people don't know that. Then they want, I guess, after tonight's meeting, they'll all have one.
They can ask.
Here they come.
Yes.
I think what we're trying to do is make that more possible without it being, there is a municipality just to our west that tried doing it and it was the Wild West. They just said, yep, let's have food trucks. And all of the brick and mortar businesses, not all, but a lot of them started saying, hold on, this is crazy. They're parking right in front. So that's where then they said, okay, not regulating doesn't work. We have some minor regulations, but we are trying to get there. I think we're close. I just want, you know, I think that the village and this board is doing a good job by trying to get there to make it possible that the people get what they want. I think we're getting close, almost.
I just want to make sure that our citizens' voice is heard sometime. They didn't make it tonight, but we got 2 more meetings, so.
It is some citizens here.
And again, please email me any updates or changes. I will run this past the village attorney tomorrow for some of the changes, and again, even when this does get passed, there will be something that we'll have to change down the road someday, I'm sure.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are you guys good with us moving to the next item?
Sir.
Good. So we will consider that, that is a first reading, and we'll keep an eye out for updates on the second reading. Now we have items referred from the May 16th, 2022 Plan Commission meeting. We have consideration of an application for proposed playground equipment at St. Charles at 313 Circle Drive.
This was reviewed by the Plan Commission and approved, and we have a representative from St. Charles here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again.
Your name,
Yeah, I
please.
just want to,
Name.
Mike Catani, Director of Operations, 313 Circle Drive,
Thank you.
St. Charles.
Thank you.
Once again, we appreciate last week with the Planning Commission, with the approval and consideration to continue to move forward with the playground. And I'll classify it as recreational equipment for the kids. So basically, this thing is, oh, there we go. If I could draw everyone's attention to the board, and you might possibly have it in front of you. This is a pretty nice setup. Once again, it'll have the polyurethane foam, which is great for safety. It is also fire rated and ADA approved as well. Also, the village community and the neighborhood children, I've even had two of our neighbors come up and ask that you guys are putting up the playground. I said, well, I believe we're putting up the playground, but I said, yes, you're more than welcome to come and use that facility as well. So I'm just here to answer any further questions that the board might have.
Real quick too, this was brought up at the Plan Commission. You will see drawings, you will see some of the pages show a baseball field. That baseball field is no longer being built.
That is correct, Ryan.
Again, this was sent with a recommendation of approval from the Plan Commission.
Make a motion to approve the application for the playground and equipment at St. Charles, 313 Circle Drive.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the playground equipment for St. Charles.
So we're good to go then?
Almost. We got to take the vote. Any discussion?
I only had one question, and just curiosity, on this picture here, there's 3 different playgrounds. Are all 3 of them on there, or just a representation that you're gonna have one of them, or is this what it's gonna
No,
look like?
that's the full footprint, Rick.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
It's great.
Anybody else? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Fine.
Cross looks great. Pretty cool. Now we have consideration of an application for a floating wooden deck for Birch and Banyan at 150 East Capitol Drive.
This was asked to be taken off of the agenda. We, during Plan Commission, ran into some issues verifying if it needed an ADA ramp. Our building inspector has a call into the state of Wisconsin, trying to see if there is a workaround, if she would be able to put a picnic table, something of that nature. She did state in her email that she is no longer going to pursue this project as it's just becoming too big of an expense. So we'll see. Hopefully something changes. It is a good idea. We're just trying to make sure that we are correct with the state laws, because everything is with rise and rate that you need for ADA compliance. So we're just trying to make sure everything is done correctly. Plan Commission did approve it, contingent on some of these items, but the applicant has stated that she would like to retract that application at the current time. So I don't know that any motion is needed, just go on to the next one.
So that would stay on file though in case they do come back? and
Sure.
they still have it? I think that's good
Correct.
for a year, correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah, we would talk at that point.
Okay.
Like I said, we're waiting on the state of Wisconsin to see if they have something to say. I'm not sure that'll make a difference going forward, but we'll see.
Perfect, thank you.
Has the applicant paid the fee, the $300 fee for the application?
I will have to check. If they have, we will refund them.
Okay, thank you.
The next item we have is consideration of an application for a second outdoor pool storage shed pump house outdoor pool bar at Bristol Cone Pine Clubhouse at 1500 Arlene Drive.
Thank you. John Riddell, representing the Legends Club. What we have, the primary focal point of our project is a zero-entry kids pool, splash area with kids' play toys. To support the function of the new pool area for the kids is an enclosure for the mechanical pumps and equipment, which is on the left-hand side of the project to my left. And then there's also a 8-foot by 12-foot tiki bar. State of Wisconsin has reviewed the plans, and all of our clearances meeting the state approvals have all been done, and so that's really a synopsis of the project.
And the building inspector and plan commission did approve this last week and met everything needed.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for a second outdoor pool, storage shed, pump house, and outdoor pool bar at Bristol Cone Pine Clubhouse.
Been moved and seconded to approve the application for a second outdoor pool, storage shed, pump house, and outdoor pool bar at Bristol Cone Pine Clubhouse. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
There.
Now we have a presentation and consideration of the Consumer Confidence Report.
The Consumer Confidence Report is done by every water municipality in the state of Wisconsin. The DNR says that we have to take it to a public meeting, and then in your Consumer Confidence Report, you'll find we give what the water utility is based off of. We have 5 wells. Our averaged our depth for each well is between 82 and 135 feet. We have 3 water towers and 1 underground reservoir. The village of Hartland can store 1 million gallons of water in reserve with our 3 towers and our reservoir. Our infrastructure, last year the village of Hartland pumped 371,366 gallons of water. So we averaged a little over 1 million gallons a day. Our water infrastructure consists of 58 miles of water main underneath the ground. We have 672 fire hydrants, 1,621 water operating valves, 3,187 water meters. That would be business and residential. One thing that I'm kind of proud of, I prompted all of our employees, if you had the opportunity to go get a water license, I said I think that you should go do it. So out of 13 employees, we have 11 of our employees that are state certified water operators. So that's very nice. That's rare in municipalities. You can't find enough operators. They're a hot commodity. People want them. Also in here, we talk about vacuum breakers and backflow preventers. We promote them when we do water meter installations. We actually install them in people's stationary tubs for free, because there's been incidents where there's a water main break and some grandma's doing laundry down the street and the stationary tub's filled with soap. There's no backflow preventer. It'll get sucked right into the water main and into the public water supply. So we give them out for free. They're $1.70 a piece. So we just make sure that everybody in a municipality has them in the stationary tubs. But so in here we also talk about, there's the vacuum breakers, then we talk about our inorganics and all the chemicals we test for. I want to note under the inorganics, that is copper and lead. So we take 40 copper lead samples every 3 years. Last year we took only 38 participated, and the state only allows you to have a high reading in 10% of them. So out of the 38, we actually had 4 high lead ratings. So they're making us do an evaluation study of the whole village of Hartland. So what we have to do is go into every single residential and business, and we have to mark what our service type going into the building is, what their service is to the water meter, and what their service is inside their house, whether it's copper, plastic, or
So what they want to do ultimately is get rid of lead, right? So we bought copper strip tests, so we test people's lead inside their house. Eventually down the road in 2025, they're talking about opening up federal money and having municipalities spearhead and get the lead services out, whether it's villages or if it's on the private side. They want all the lead services out of all municipalities, and we're definitely in agreement with that. So that study is being taken place right now. We're working with Ruker and Melke doing that. That's pretty much about it. Our DNR rep stated that we did a very nice job on our consumer confidence report. So after this gets presented to the village board, mailings will go out to residents, and then they'll also be posted here at the village hall, posted in the library, and then a local grocery store, we put them there so people can get a hold of them.
Can we also place that in the Heartland Happenings email that goes out as well, like a PDF link to that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Does it mention the hardness level?
It does. So, so the hardness level is taken at one well. So what we do is our controlling well is like well 3. It's in the industrial park, and the hardness there is 18 grams parts per billion.
So that most people with water softeners, you have a setting for 18, you just turn it to that.
Correct. That's correct. We actually get lots of calls on that. Hartland happenings. Any other questions?
Thank you. Now we have a consideration of the letter of resignation from Trustee Ludtke. This would be effective Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. If you'd like, I'll turn the floor over to Trustee Ludtke.
Thank you, President. As many of you know, my husband and family and I are moving 4.8 miles outside of the village limits. So just close enough to still be a Heartlandite from afar, but not close enough to stay in the village limits. And with that, I have asked President Vanderstel the opportunity to resign from my post and open the seat to a village resident, and have had the opportunity to submit my letter and then approach the board as well. So with that, I think I've had an opportunity to speak to most of you and our staff, but usually I'm very good with my words, and I don't have many, and they're not coming live at the moment. So what I can say is that Hartland is remarkable, truly remarkable. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do, all you've done, and all you'll continue to do. And I really mean that. Thank you for all you've done. And it's been a pleasure serving with you. It's been fun.
Likewise.
It's been fun. Making memories.
Robin.
At her request, and since it's been requested and sent a letter, I would make a motion that the board respectfully accept the resignation letter from Trustee Ludtke.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Trustee Ludtke.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the, to accept the resignation of Trustee Ludtke. Obviously, anybody on the board that would have any comments for Trustee Ludtke, I think it'd be appropriate to take the time in discussion here, as this will be the last meeting that we'll get to serve with her.
I'll just say it's been a pleasure serving with you. We were elected at the same time and had the pleasure of sitting next to you for the last 3 years, and it was fun, educational for both of us. Learned a lot from you. Hope you learned from me as well, but I had a good time. So you'll be missed.
Thanks. Thank you.
Robin, we are going to miss you, and for you also teaching all of us certain things that we were not looking at, like the spelling. And we're going to miss you, keeping us organized, more so than before. So we hope you enjoy your new home and the yard. So thank you very much for all your work.
Just want to thank you very much for all the comments you made against me. No. I think it's been very positive, and I really appreciate the input and the passion you had for the job of in the village of Hartland, and we are going to greatly miss you. But I really appreciate everything you did and your efforts. Thanks so much.
On behalf of the staff and department heads, thank you for always supporting us, having our backs, and bending your ear and listening to what we have to say. So thank you.
Robin, as a new trustee, I'm bummed that I don't get to have much time with you, but I've had a chance to get to know you over the last number of years, and I know your heart is into this village, so thank you for everything you've done.
Robin, it has been fun. A lot of late night phone calls.
Yeah.
Figuring things out, going back and forth, talking about all kinds of different things, and then spending some time talking about kids, and then back to village stuff over a 2-3 hour phone call, hashing it out, working on things. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. It's been exciting. It really has. It's been to see everything that's happened as people came on. Trustee Doral, when she was on, to see so many people run and get so enthusiastic about this village, I think is really, really cool. And to see that continuing, it's just that you were part of that. And for everybody that was part of that, I think it's really, truly amazing. I don't think people will realize till they look back like, wow, that was the time. And I really mean that. Thank you. And it was fun. And I wish you all of the best. And please come back to visit.
Absolutely.
No, it's been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we have some appointments that I gotta get in order. The village president's allowed to put forth a nomination that the board could approve. For library board, I have to approve a trustee. That would be Tom Trutchell. And then the citizen member would be Elise Miller for library board. If I could get a motion on that. I have others. I can do these one at a time or kind of just rattle a bunch of them off. I'm doing Delhart and library today.
I'll make a motion to approve the candidates for the library board as said.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve trustee Trutchell to the library board in the village trustee slot, and Elise Miller in the we'll go back to that in just a second. Since we're in the middle of this, it appears that we did not take a vote on the resignation, so you're to put off the move for another year. Sorry. We're in the middle of this, though, so that's the nomination. If it's okay, I'll end up asking the board if we can go back for that
Fine,
vote.
no problem.
Did we get a motion on approving them? We did? Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Sorry. For Delhart, we have Donna Doral, trustees Meyer and Pfeiffer, and then Dave Lamrand. So those would all be continuing except for Pfeiffer. That would be a new one on there.
I'll make a motion for the candidates said for the Delhart Water Commission Board.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for those four to serve on Delhart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. There's other commissions. I don't have a list in front of me, but I believe that I'll do it at the next meeting. But I mean, the trustees that are in their spots, Rick Connor is on Park Board. Trustee Walschlager is on Plan Commission. Trustee Myers is on Ecos and on Delhart, but Delhart we just, Board of Review, we did vote on that, I believe that when we got done. So the names that I just said, let's get these finalized. We have Trustee Connor is gonna be the village board representative to the park board. Trustee Walschlager is gonna be the village board representative, not the president, but the trustee on the plan commission. And Trustee Myers is in Ecos. If I could get a motion on those three.
Motion for the candidates said, for all boards.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that those three trustees named would continue in their capacities on those boards for another year. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The rest will be at the next meeting. Huh? Yeah, we're gonna go back to that. So unfortunately, Trustee Ludtke, we didn't take a vote. We did our comments, but we didn't take the vote. So if someone could make a motion.
We had a motion and a second that went into this.
Need a vote?
Okay. The motion in the second was made, and I'm very sorry for making it confusing. To take the actual vote, to make it official, to accept the resignation, to hold the flowers while we vote. All in favor of accepting the resignation? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have can you guys just give me give me just a minute. Are we sure we're positive on the appointments? We're good. Okay, announcements.
I have one, just in response to village administrator had said something last week, and I just wanted to make sure that the public knew. WEDC, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, which is the statewide economic development organization, is going to continue servicing the Main Street Bounce Back grants for the businesses that are looking to move into vacant spaces. So I know they call our local municipality. They ask quite a bit of questions about that. You can call your Chamber of Commerce. You can call me. You can call any of our village board members, and we can help you out. But really, it's about getting that occupancy permit over the finish line, and then it's about a letter of submission that would come from the Waukesha County Center for Growth. So just to clear up any confusion for the business community, they're still out there, and you can apply for up to $10,000. So if we have vacant spaces in downtown Hartland and you're looking to rent them or buy them, you can apply for that grant to get it over to help grow your business. So I know that there had been a couple, and I received 2 calls about some areas that were in the village as well up by Hartbrook, so.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one, sir. Oh, he speaks.
Chief Walker.
Hi, good evening. I'm here in Chief Chambers' absence, so he's out of town right now. So I had 2 announcements from the fire department. During his annual report, Chief Chambers discussed the challenges posed by HFD's current pay structure and the declining number of residents, village residents, that are currently involved in HFD. To exacerbate this further, we only have 8 firefighter paramedics. One of those 8 just gave their 2 weeks notice to us today. This now marks the 3rd of those 8 that has been hired by another full-time department in the last month. So that leaves us 5. Of those 5, 3 of them are already employed full-time by the Hartland Fire Department, which leaves us 2 to start covering shifts when we either need second ambulance calls or we have sick pay. Both of those other firefighter paramedics work on other fire departments. One is on multiple other fire departments and a fire service instructor. So we need help. And neither of them lives in Hartland, of those 2, so they can't respond when they're off duty either. So the reason I'm bringing this up is Chief would like to discuss how we can address this problem sooner than later, and it can't continue to wait. So he's requesting a meeting. He gets back, I believe the 30th is the first date that he's back. So he's asking for a meeting shortly after he returns to discuss how we might be able to best handle this problem. And I know this isn't really a motion for discussion. This is an announcement and request for action once he returns.
Okay.
All right, that's number 1. The second one is way more fun. June 4th, we have a house to burn. So we don't get training houses very often. You remember what this is like. You remember what this is like. So this is an open invite. I suppose we could still let you come play. If you want to see what it's like doing our job and what we're asking our people to do, we'll put you in turnout gear and let you get some good work. So please let me or Chief Jamberts know if you would like to come. It's a Saturday. We would need you at the station early in the morning, and training burns start pretty quickly early in the morning, and then the whole house gets burned down around noon-ish, give or take. But it would be the best hands-on training that you could get and the closest real-world experience you could have to seeing what we're asking our people to do. So if you'd like to do that, it's a lot of fun. You'd be stuck going in with me, and we'd have a good time. So let us know if you'd like to do that. That's it from us. Thank you.
Strongly encourage everybody to take that opportunity because it's a pretty cool thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Walker.
Just had a couple of quick announcements. We made our final offer to candidate Rachel Kennedy for our final officer position. She has accepted that final offer, and we have a tentative start date of June 6th. Rachel would join us from the Waukesha Sheriff's Office. She has over 3 years of experience there, and several specialty assignments there, up to and including serving in the capacity of a field training officer. So we're really hoping she can hit the ground running for us. So since we took one from the Sheriff's Department, we got one trained up for them. We had an intern this past semester through Waukesha County Technical College. His name is Tyler Martins. He did a phenomenal job for us as an intern this past semester, and he graduated, I believe it was last weekend, not this last week, the weekend before, and then that Monday after graduation, the Sheriff's Department swore him in as a deputy, and they'll be sending him to the recruit school at WCTC in fall. We also offered a offer of employment to our part-time afternoon administrative assistant position, and she has accepted that position. It's Morgan Gergel. She's actually the sister of one of our officers, Dylan Gergel. She comes to us with over 3 years of administrative assistant experience for a law office, billing, in the billing area department. So she'll come with some experience, and again, her tentative start date is also June 6th. Detective Hoffa received another award. She keeps them coming in. This one was through the Muskego Police Department. This was for a suburban critical incident team call out where the SWAT team was called for a domestic violence incident in the city of Muskego, and the individual was actually shooting at responding units as they were coming to his home. So it was a shots fired incident, and Detective Hoffa was integral in him giving up and coming out of the house through the negotiator unit. But then her actions didn't stop there. Her detective nature kicked in, and she really helped the department that was spread out and going in a lot of different directions finalize that investigation. So it did a lot of great work, especially with the victims there in Muskego. So the chief recognized her with a accommodation award. And then my final announcement is obviously we had our sex offender moratorium appeal, which was denied last week. We had spoken with Mr. Bearden as far as timeline for him to relocate. We are giving him 1 month to relocate out of the village, and we're going to be doing periodic check-ins with him throughout. We told him we'd be checking base with him at least once a week to make sure that progress is being made towards that and that we're not waiting for that 1 month. And he proactively called us this weekend and informed us of several rental applications he had out and some that looked promising in nearby communities. So we're optimistic that he'll be able to meet that deadline. That's all I got.
Okay, there's a lot coming up in Hartland. As you can see, even by the banner, I couldn't even go down the list, but I mean, really keep your eyes out. There's gonna be, we have Party in the Park coming up. We have Hometown Celebration coming up. We have
Trustee
the
Ludtke's birthday
beer,
coming up.
Trustee Ludtke's birthday coming up. Beer garden opening. Lot going on. This year for Hometown Celebration, we're really gonna try to blow this up and make it a whole weekend event. We have a very good band coming in on Saturday. We have great events on Friday, as we usually do, a outstanding parade and events on Sunday, as we usually do. There's a bag tournament and a car show and some bands, live music, beer sales. It should be a good time on Saturday, so hoping to get back towards a whole weekend. And then all the other things that are going to be going on, just stay posted. It's going to be typical summertime. It's just like, woo, it's fun. It's a lot. So with that, we also, for anybody listening, the village does have a form and is looking to seek donations. Businesses can donate to the Village of Hartland to help make Hometown Celebration possible. Businesses can give anything. You could give the lowest amount you want, but I think it goes from 100 up to 200, up to 400, 500, all the way up to 5,000. Shore West Realtors has taken the $5,000 sponsorship, which is like the gold sponsorship, I believe is what it's called, but there's others for 1,000 and a lot, and 3,000. So I encourage getting the word out on that. It'd be appreciated by the village, because this celebration is our hometown celebration, and it's great, and it's always nice to have some help, in the kitty to get those events going. So, no other announcements.
Happy Memorial Day, everyone, as well. That is coming up. So don't forget about your local Legion here in town. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Aye. Aye. This meeting's adjourned.